Hey guys, Glenn here with a burn day, trying to get rid of stuff before fall completely hits and winter hits, getting rid of weeds. But I wanted to today's another Phenomecon interview, this time with the director of Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think on the other side. Again, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you later. Let me know what you think. Cheers.
20, 30 yards away was this thing peeking over this pine bush.
It was a large, hairy animal, dark brown, black hair.
All of a sudden, this creature let out I want to call it a blood-curdling, growling, howling scream.
That's when I realized it wasn't my friend that had snuck up on me.
Dude, all the branches that are broken off are red.
That's crazy. There's no medulla.
Thank you guys for showing up. This is really cool. We're here at Phenomecon 2023 in Vernal, Utah, and having a good time. And you guys brought something really cool to the table. So how about introduce yourselves? Let me know who you are, and tell us what you brought to the table. What do you got?
He's Tobe Johnson, and I'm not. And that's all that matters. No, I'm Brett Eichenberger, director of I forgot the title of my film, A Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot.
And I was invited in on this ride here just based upon what happened to me and a landowner by the name of Daryl Adams. My name's Tobe Johnson, by the way. And Brett found out, along with the producer, his wife, Jill Remensnyder, that we lived in a paranormal hotspot. A little bit like Skinwalker Ranch, but more Bigfoot-centric.
Okay.
And so that's where we start.
Okay. So, not to give specifics, but whereabouts is this?
Oh, sure. No, it's in Cottage Grove, Oregon. You'd pass it and miss it. It's right outside of Cottage Grove Lake near London, Oregon. And it's just a little ranch house, unassuming little ranch house where the Sasquatch felt comfortable coming in, and a lot of other things happen.
Well, cool. Well, maybe we can discuss that as well, but I definitely want to get into your film and why you made this, with the whole deal.
So the long story short is we started out making a film called A Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Revealed. That was the first one. And the one that we're talking about today is our sequel. And the reason that we turn these into two films, the first one concentrates really solely on the flesh and blood aspect of Bigfoot. The fact that there's Bigfoot out there and there's very credible eyewitnesses. And we sort of touch on the paranormal side of things. And we get a chance to intro Tobe and Daryl in this first film. And we also wanted to concentrate on the emotional aspects that people have when they have a Bigfoot sighting. Mm-hmm. So while we were doing this film and recording this film, we started in 2020, like right in the midst of the pandemic. We kept hearing paranormal stories. Like as soon as I would call cut and we'd start packing stuff up, people would then tell us the stories about the paranormal happenings. And so we thought, you know what, we need to include this into the film. And we quickly realized that the content was stacking up. We needed to split it into two parts.
Okay, so that's very cool.
That's where Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot came from. That was the nucleus of it. And throughout this entire process, we've kind of been led by an invisible hand, if you will. We've just kind of found stories, whether it's through personal connections or Facebook connections or what have you. And we've ended up with something that I think is going to raise a lot of eyebrows. Well, especially his section too, with what they went through.
Yeah. So the first movie. First off, where do we find it? Because it's obviously out right now.
Yes, the first movie, A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed, is on Amazon. It's on iTunes. It's on Google Play, Vudu. If you're looking for Tubi, I think is ad supported right now. So it's out there. It's everywhere. And the same goes for the sequel.
Okay.
That will be out on October 17th.
My birthday.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. My birthday present from you guys.
There's
Thank you.
no such thing as a coincidence. That's amazing. That one won't be, and I know a lot of people will ask if it's going to be on Tubi, and it's going to take a while for it to be on Tubi. So you might see it on Tubi in probably 3 to 4 months. Okay. I don't have an exact date for that, but you can rent it on Amazon. You can watch it in 4K if you want to. So it'll be out there, and it'll be in different markets across the world.
Now, we got to see the preview of this last night. I think it was last night.
Yeah.
It's a blur. I found it to be incredibly cool.
Thank you.
I mean, really cool, because my whole thing, I started with Bigfoot right?
Mm-hmm.
And pretty soon it started becoming curious. You know, you get some curious stories. I personally had a couple of interesting things. I don't know what it was, but I heard something immediately behind me and I never saw a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it was hiding. Maybe it was whatever. But I was really excited to see this. So can you tell me a little more? Let's maybe get into this a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, this place we call the Owl Moon Lab, which is a bizarre name. But in short, we found some evidence underneath a full moon, which is also called the Owl Moon. And these hot spots that have these names like Skinwalker Ranch or Blind Frog Ranch or Stardust Ranch or Bradshaw Ranch, these are not uncommon places. These are places perhaps on ley lines. They seem to migrate and move around. They have seasons to them. And they start with a baseline of activity. I think most of the time this starts with hauntings. And then the other stuff migrates along with it. And you don't really put the two and two together that lights are associated with UFOs or that knocks on the house. Generally 3 large knocks on the house mean that you have Bigfoot. Maybe you have a poltergeist. I think this is all connected. And so that was the baseline, is our approach to say, hey, we're going to study this as though this is a living laboratory. And that living laboratory approach somehow was appreciated by the phenomena. And so the people in the film kind of answer these questions that A, this happens to average people, these extraordinary events, and that you can't predict it. You cannot study this in a common way. It kind of studies you more than you study it. You take notes. And, you know, the people in this doc make our story look normal.
Yeah.
And we have extraordinary things that we chronicled. But we get into some of the most bizarre stories that I've ever heard in the last 18 years in this doc. And we had extraordinary stuff happen. And, you know, the baseline, I said, was that we're going to study all these phenomena together. But the main thing that started for us was this gifting process where we were receiving these nuanced, almost, it was like little tiny objects left in extraordinary places with a patina to them. And I'd heard the story that Sasquatch will leave these objects in front of your tent. If you're a habituator, which I don't really love that term, I call them like Sasquatch experiencers, and they will find these little tiny meaningful gifts laid out to them. And they will find these little tiny meaningful gifts laid out to them. When I saw that that was happening in this area, which I knew was rich with Sasquatch activities, that's when Brett and Jill got involved. And they've been experiencers as well since this process. So why don't you talk about that?
I also want to note too that for Tobin and Daryl, this strangeness kicked off with the discovery of these 2 knee prints that they found.
Right.
In this really interesting red dirt, not far from Daryl's home. That's when things really got weird. And so, you know, and Mel Skahan, who's in the first film and the second film, talked about how he had that. He found these hairs, he brought them back. He had some weirdness happening. And we've got some other stories from Mel that unfortunately we didn't have time for in the documentaries. But it followed that rule of thumb, I guess, that if you bring home physical evidence of Bigfoot, you're going to start getting some weird things. So you've been warned, viewers, that what you to look at, but don't bring home Bigfoot stuff.
Unless you want to have some interesting times.
Yeah, unless you want to have a party of some sorts. But,
and you've seen this.
Hurt,
no.
There was never anything that was.
And you see in this documentary exactly what Brett's talking about is people's passion to have another sighting, and yet there's great reluctance in the film. Just like we're going to talk about this once, you get the full spectrum and flash of beauty of how people deal with this phenomena. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I want the weird shit. I chase it down. People will not go to places I will go. I'm the kind of guy that would lay in a hammock in the middle of the woods waiting for the hand to come over me, that kind of stuff. But it never did. Not till I got, not in the way that it happened in this little town in Cottage Grove. And, you know, the people in this documentary go into great detail about how real this is, how impactful this is, because we have so many things going on in this world. Why is Bigfoot important?
And these are just normal people. These are not like glory hogs. They're not trying to get a name. Oh, look at me, I'm a Bigfoot guy.
Right.
Now, you know?
Not at all. Harold and Cody are featured at the very end of our film. I'm not going to say a lot about their sighting, other than to say that it's probably the most extraordinary sighting I've ever heard in relation to Bigfoot. And Harold told me very specifically, he says, I will only give one interview, and you are the interview. Because I want people to know that this is out here, but I can't keep talking about it. And it took a lot of courage to get to that point. You know, he's a business owner and stuff, and he's got a reputation in his area as a contractor, construction worker. It's a very successful business. So, it's important to get these stories out there so people understand what's going on. And, we just spoke to a gentleman who had trepidation and fear of coming here to Phenomecon because of the ridicule. He hadn't started telling his story until like a couple of days ago. It happened 20 years ago. And that's a lot of the point behind both of these movies, is to really get people comfortable and talking and, really sharing these things. So we can start putting these puzzle pieces together.
I totally agree. I think that's the reason we do our channel.
Yeah.
Is I like going on site, just like you did. Document, say, look at that tree, look at this, this is the ravine, this is where I had, this is where I,
Yeah.
Because one person comes, was it bravery or courage is the most important virtue to step forward, because somebody else then can go, okay, well, if you saw that there, I saw this here. And we've gotten in the same ravine, now I've got like 5 stories in one ravine that I've always suspected there's something going on here.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to believe me. I talked to a band member and his friend. They saw something on the side of the road. They told the other members of the band, and the other members of the band just ridiculed them, so they just shut down.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you guys getting these stories out, because somebody else has seen something. Not just I heard something or I saw Bigfoot here, but I saw something really strange. And then nobody, I can tell you about the sighting of the Bigfoot, but I won't tell you about the lights, or I won't tell you about the bell, or I won't tell you about the this, or I won't talk about that. But it cleanses the heart.
Oh my gosh, it's therapeutic.
It is.
We just saw a huge sense of relief with this gentleman we were just speaking with. He's like, so you don't think I'm crazy? He literally said that. And I was like, no, man, you're amongst friends. It's like, we've heard these stories. Go around, talk to people, share your story. You're going to find comfort in this.
Yeah.
It's important. It's important therapy.
It is. I talked to a kid he kept this bottled in for 5-6 years and didn't tell anybody. The 2 people he was with, one of them tried jumping out of a moving car on the highway. Again, all 3 of them experienced some very heavy mental stuff. The other guy decided to get hooked on heroin just because he didn't deal with it. When I talked to this kid, I interviewed him. He had the 1,000-yard stare. He burst into tears 2 or 3 times, reliving the whole thing. But at the end, I saw him about 3 months ago, and he said, man, I'm doing so much better.
Good.
Just because he got it out.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for reaching out. And I just want to, encourage other people to tell their stories, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lives are interrupted by this, what do we call it, a hidden event. And these hidden events you have to talk about. And now we're normalizing it with all this UFO disclosure stuff. And I think that's, it's for a reason. We're at a time in history where something is coming.
Yeah.
We can all feel it. We won't be able to deny it. It will probably be on a scale that, is going to make men's hearts fail. Yeah. And so I think we got to prepare ourselves for that. And if it's Bigfoot related, I'm going to be pretty tickled. But I think it's going to be way bigger.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think there's something significant coming, whatever that is and whenever that is. But I think I've wondered if it's the explosion of social media that the stories are coming out, or if there are actually more encounters happening. I'm torn up on that.
Yeah, so am I. I'm a little divided, but everybody's got a phone in their pocket now. I mean, look at the extraordinary video we did, just day-to-day events.
Yeah.
Regardless of of paranormal activity. And so I think that's really helping. You know, we just looked at a photo that a woman showed us of her granddaughter, and you could see through her skin. She was translucent. And this woman was really upset about it. And,
Wow.
and so it's just like
Disturbing.
these photos and videos are being taken all the time. And you know, a lot of skeptics come up to me and go, they say, well, there's no evidence for Bigfoot. There's no good photos or anything else. They're all blurry. And I say to them, look, you wouldn't believe how many crystal clear photographs I've seen of Bigfoot that
Right.
people are too afraid to share. Because if you go online, even in a lot of the Bigfoot like Facebook pages, for instance, people rip them apart. People rip those people, and they get afraid of sharing. We cannot do that anymore.
Well, I think it's trust. You guys are establishing trust.
Yeah.
People will come to you and say, okay, we trust you that you're going to tell us the truth, right? That's what we're trying to do is discard, you know, the silliness. I don't want to say silliness, but there is sometimes when you can tell, you know, this guy's just trying to make a name for himself. But so many people I talk to are like, average Joe, I'm just saying what I saw. Right?
Yeah.
Then you go on site and you find something that supports what they say, or 2 or 3 or 10 things. And you go, well, I didn't see it. But when a trustworthy person, a believable person tells you an unbelievable story, in every other way they're believable, you kind of have to believe them. I think that's what C.S. Lewis said in Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
Right, with Lucy.
Okay.
And you know, he said, does your sister lie? No. Well, then why wouldn't you believe her about the wardrobe?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do is just build trust. You know, people look at our videos and go, okay, you guys are critical. You don't just believe everything. And I see that in your guys' video.
Yeah, and my hope is that someone, you know, I mean, there's a few people that we interviewed in our film that their spouses struggled with their sightings.
Right.
And it caused strife in their marriage. In fact, I think one individual, his marriage fell apart because she just couldn't believe him. And so my hope is that we can use, folks out there can use these films as tools to say, look, you know, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, cousin, whoever you are, that if you don't believe in this, could you please just watch these movies? Because you know, we've taken a look, and the rest of the stuff out there is really, in my opinion, almost purely made for entertainment value. And although we love to entertain as storytellers, we want to be able to use these as therapeutic tools to where you know, even if we can plant that seed in that individual that has some skepticism, we can start to change minds. We can, you know, like the military says, we want to win over the hearts and minds of the non-believers. To let somebody know that there is something out there. You know, Arla Williams sums it up beautifully in the end of our film, spoiler alert. She talks about just file it away. You don't have to believe it right now, but just do yourself a favor and file it away. Because at some point you're going to see something you can't believe.
One of the reasons we do, I suppose it's probably the same thing. I've talked to plenty of hunters who have said, I've been in the woods for almost 70 years. I've never seen a bloody thing. And then they see something and it rocks their world.
Yeah.
And they have a very hard time processing it. That's one thing to see something. It's another thing to experience something terrifying, right? Getting rocks thrown at you, getting bluff charged by something that isn't supposed to be there. And so what we're trying to do is, one, raise awareness of the reality of this thing, but also say, you know what? When you go out in the woods and you see this, be prepared that like you're walking into bear territory, you're walking in mountain lion territory, you're walking in elephant or, you know, tiger territory, right? You know what sign to look for, and you're aware. But some poor Yetz who's out there deer hunting or elk hunting, and he gets blindsided, and a rock the size of this gets thrown and lands right next to him.
Right.
You know, wow.
I would almost guarantee that the majority of hunters have had some sort of experience that they didn't know was an experience.
You know they put it in a box or they ignore it. It's not in their box, so they ignore it.
Yeah, they just didn't know the signs to look for. You know what I mean? When you watch these films, you know that they will occasionally throw rocks or they'll make weird noises or, you know, push down a tree. I mean, there's any number of things that you can see as signs of Sasquatch activity. And I think a lot of these guys, these outdoor guys, just don't have any idea.
Well, here's another thing too, and I know it touches on your video here. Is it's not just physical sign of trees. You know, people talk about tree structures. They talk about this, and those are valid things, I think.
Yeah.
How to interpret those is open for interpretation because we don't know yet. We haven't seen them build it. But there's other things that happen. I talked to a hunter who was out in the wood, out in the middle of nowhere in those woods, he and his buddy, and they saw some lights floating through the trees, and they assumed it was another set of hunters with flashlights, but it didn't act like flashlights. And so I'm sure there's, as you said, a lot of hunters who see lights and they don't know how to where to box it, but they know it's not lightning bugs. It's not this. So what have you guys heard? Not to give spoilers on the movie, but in other senses, what are some of the other curious things that have been sign that you guys might put into the box of weird sign?
The Hitchhiker Effect, right? I mean, here we are. It's largely a Skinwalker Ranch event we're at. You know, it's in the Uinta Basin, Blind Frog Ranch, of course. They have the same thing going on. And so it's the perfect name for the phenomena of following you home. And this is exactly what, was told to me early on in 2005, that once you start looking into this, something they call the coconut telegraph, where Sasquatch will talk to another Sasquatch through a hive mind, that you're going to have activity one way or another when you get back home if they want to deal with you, however that works in the interview process, right? And that's upsetting to a lot of people because you have family at home. I mean, we talked a little bit about this as well. What if you're a Bigfooter running on adrenaline, mighty high, but you got kids and family at home, and all of a sudden
they're getting the hell scared.
You got a headless rabbit sitting on your steps or on the hood of your car, or you've got ghost upstairs suddenly. These things shouldn't be connected together, but the stuff that we talk about in this documentary that Brett and Mike and Jill worked their ass off to film, to me is so groundbreaking. It really is a groundbreaking film. I think it's going to change what I would call the apers' heart and minds, and I don't mean to besmirch them with that, but I worked a lot of years trying to have a beer with these people that think it's flesh and blood, and they always tell me after the cameras are off, just like Brett said, hey, by the way, this is much, much weirder.
Well, that's the thing is, that is a huge argument. Why haven't we found bodies? Why haven't we found this? And there's arguments saying, well, we have found it, and it's just maybe it's being buried, maybe it's being hidden or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know about that.
The lack of evidence is evidence to me.
Right.
We should have something.
We should.
We should have something way more. If the Smithsonian just comes in black helicopters and takes all these bones with them back to some Bigfoot cave, which I've heard good stories. But don't you think, Brett, something way weirder than burying the dead is something?
100%.
Yeah,
I do too. I think about Maria.
Yeah, Maria. I got it wrong.
I always screw up her name.
Yeah.
That she's in Madagascar.
Yeah.
You're out in the middle of absolutely nowhere in the thickest of the jungle. I could see finding a new lemur the size of your hand. Right. Mm-hmm. Here we are in North America, where now you got something that's 10 feet tall, potentially wandering around doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think there is something more than just they bury their dead. They may bury their dead, but I think there's certainly something more than that.
There's there's some native individuals that are up on the western coast of Canada and Oregon, Washington have talked about how they know that they bury their dead and whatnot. But we interview in the first film, we interview this gentleman who's Army intelligence, and he talks about how there are sniper teams that go out and they take them down to bring back bodies. There are individuals that witnessed and saw bodies after Mount St. Helens eruption. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm desperately looking to talk to any of those individuals that were flying the helicopters, that were on the ground. There's reports of forest fighters or firefighters and forest fires that have found bodies, and they're immediately told to call in backups to remove the bodies. So they're not to be too conspiracy theory-like, but there is a cover-up happening. And that's part of the reason why bodies haven't been found. And I've also heard the stories of someone has hit one by a car, with a car, and then a black SUV shows up, not an ambulance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's some people that have tested those theories. Like we know a guy named Jerry who did that. He called. He says, "Oh, I just hit a Bigfoot with my car." And then he hid behind a bush, and sure enough, here come the black Suburbans.
Really?
He's really actually tried that out, and it worked.
These people that show up and intimidate the witness, you can't get away from these stories.
Yeah.
It's usually a small bookwormish guy and then big tough guy with cauliflower ears standing there next to him. It's just like, how's this going to go for you?
Well, we've got our little code.
Yeah.
If we ever come across either a body or anything like that, we've got our little code that we're going to use when we call each other and say, "Hey, you know what? Da 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 da." That's our code to say, "Get your ass over here right now."
The eagle has landed.
The eagle has landed.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you. I don't want to take a lot of your time. Is there anything else you need to say? How contact information with you guys? Anything like that?
Yeah, I think the best way to get a hold of us is through Facebook. We have a Facebook kind of a fan page, if you will, for the movie, A Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Revealed on Facebook. And either Jill or I, we try and respond to every message that's sent to us. So if you have a story you want to talk to us about, or images or video or anything else that you want us to send us, you can 100% trust us, because we want to do right by the eyewitnesses. That's probably the best way to get a hold of us. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, one quick thing about Ron.
Yep.
You gonna mention that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So our next film is going to be all about Ron Moorhead and Sierra Sounds Gathering. And so right now we're doing fundraising on Indiegogo, because we're all we're not affiliated with any movie studio or anything else. We're financing all of this stuff.
Yeah, and coming up with a really quality product, by the way. It doesn't look like schlock work done in the garage.
Well, and the full disclosure is that we have a production company. We do like local commercials and that kind of stuff, and that helps us. The fact that Jill and I both don't have kids kind of helps too. So we're not like paying for like school clothes. Anyways, Ron Moorhead Indiegogo campaign is going on right now. I think it's going on until about the 1st of October. So any help would be fantastic. It's a huge job. Ron is a very important person in the Bigfoot world. Everybody knows. Sierra Sounds are extraordinary. So we want to tell that story like it's never been seen.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for taking time. I know you need to get back to emceeing.
Sorry about that.
No, it's
just
all
watching
good.
The screen here, making sure Russ doesn't talk too long.
Oh, Russ.
Yeah. And that's Voices in the Wilderness on Indiegogo.
Yep. Excellent. So super. So 3 movies. First movie is
A Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Revealed. A Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot, available October 17th, 2023 on Amazon and iTunes initially, and then it'll be everywhere else. Check it out. And then Voices in the Wilderness, the Ron Moorhead story, which we hope to have out sometime in 2024, probably late 2024.
Excellent. Thank you guys, and we look forward to your next movies.
Thank you.
All right,
Cheers.
thank you. Thanks, buddy.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It was a very cool movie. I got to see it in the premiere and just really enjoyed it. There's a lot of cool Bigfoot documentaries out here, but these guys do a really bang-up job. So I encourage you to watch it. Again, it comes out October 17th, my birthday. But yeah, that's it. So let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.